All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So this is kind of my opening every time I make this specific video, okay? The stock market can be a really ugly place, especially when you're making trades like this, all right? And what does that mean? Look, there's a very famous saying, when there's blood on the streets, there's money in someone's pocket. And I think this video just describes that so well. So we're looking at Indo, we're looking at HUSA, excuse me, we're looking at PRZO, and then if I got time, I'm going to look at HUBC. But these are wartime stocks, all right? And there is so much noise and so much going on in the Middle East that, yeah, it just makes sense that these are going up. And believe me, it's the saddest thing to just think about when you're discuss like it is, right? But hey, I'm not here to judge. I try to just look at these at tickers, but I'm not here pretending I don't realize what's going on, right? So, nonetheless, I've been watching this for a while, and I'm gonna do a quick search here on Indo. 923 was the first time I talked about this thing. Still not ready, but if we can get over three, it's solid. A couple days later, it was dropping and it got me curious. But you can see, right? Today was just Indo, 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 right? And again, once we got over three, we gained an easy 20 something more, right? Every 30 is 10%. We're well more than 60, right? And this and that. So Indo is that. I'll give you more details. HUSA tends to follow, and that very much did. And in some ways, this was a little bit of a cleaner trade. And like I just mentioned, the 20% number over there, this was pretty much a 20%, if not more, and a little cleaner. I'll kind of describe what I'm saying. But in general, Indo tends to do better than HUSA. PRZO. So this is not a stock I'm too familiar with, but this is an interesting daily chart. All right, a little high on the RSI, but it's this weekly chart that's actually catching my eye a little bit. All right, so we'll talk about this one, and then just in case I don't have that much time, HUBC. HUBC tends to be a mover with these other ones. There's no oil connection, right? I don't even know if PRZO is an oil connection. I honestly have never really heard of that one. That one came on the Discord. But nonetheless, this one tends to move because it is the cybersecurity in the Middle East region, right? And interesting doji today over the 50 moving average has to be at least worth the eyes tomorrow. You can see volume's been growing, still at a 70 and a positive MACD. HUBC, just in case I don't get to this one's worth your eyes because you can see, get me to the 50, I'm thinking the 100, break the 100, and that's a nice little distance up to the 200, all right? So I would love to cover all four if I can. Otherwise, we're at least going to focus on those first three that I talked about. But before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So I will more than likely chapter these first two together, and I'm just gonna zoom out and remind the team if we don't remember, right? But you can see Indo in April, monster run. HUSA, April, monster run, right? Indo obviously did a lot more. When we look at the volume, you'll see Indo compared to that HUSA volume that I just circled. Oh, get out of here. What? I assumed it would be significantly higher. You can see I don't practice these before, right? A lot of this is live. Interesting to see. The number is probably what it is. That was a 50 million peak right there. HUSA. That was a what? Roughly 14, 15 million peak right there. And it was still that same 2-day pop with a little bit under. Interesting. I actually imagine Indo would have had a little bit more volume. But hey, nonetheless, right? The total volume was there. it actually literally just did the same basic pop in terms of the volumes. But again, the thought is if Indo goes, HUSA will go, right? Even in this little pop, if I'm not mistaken, you can see Indo right there. Yeah, again, not as big, but you can still see that end of July, early August pop on both before they drop both, right? So the two work hand in hand. So like I said, started the video with it. I'm going to say it again. Indo. I was looking at Indo as early as the 23rd. All right, there was a lot of Middle East noise. There was a lot of rumblings that we were gonna it just look. I don't pretend to follow politics. I honestly I avoid it because it's such a depressing thing and this and that, right? But the noise was getting loud around the 23rd. In my opinion, the noise continued, and it's like what, let me get the calendar. How long ago was the 23rd, right? All these days blend. Yeah, since last Monday, right? It's been a little bit more than a week. I sincerely believe that the rumblings continued the whole time. That's why I actually was surprised that come the 26th we were down here instead of what I expected to be up here, right? But my comments were over three is solid, and you can, I hope, see it before I even say it. That $3 line is over all five moving averages, right? I had this 275 roughly, right? 274, whatever. Maybe someone would have liked this line and could have gotten in a little bit earlier. Personally, I just thought wait for three because then you're going to get over those three, and look at that thing, right? It actually ran to four, a 33% run, right? From three to four, you only have $3, you're adding one more, right? So a beautiful, beautiful move, and you can see I'm never here to brag about my resistance lines, right? But that four was basically that little horizontal moment for roughly a month, right? So I'm not here to click perfectly, but yeah, that was a pretty good click right there, right? Maybe it was the bottom of that candle instead of the top of this one, right? But whatever, yeah, it wasn't that bad right there, right? So what are we looking for next? Okay, I think this is my immediate comment. All right, on its own, as I'm looking at this single candle, this single MACD, single RSI, single volume, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. If you've been watching my videos, right, we're over them all. We have beautiful divergence on both of those. It seems like we're hungry for a positive MACD. 72 is for sure a little bit on the high side, but I'm comfortable going into the 80s still, right? And then obviously this volume was bigger than any of those volumes, and as I zoom out, it was actually bigger than those early pops that we talked about, right? Like that's a monster volume day, okay? The one thing, and you know what, let me keep this view. I apologize for zooming in and out. I really hate doing that. The one thing to say is this tends to do a big candle and then a doji after. A big candle, and you can see it kind of lives there in a doji after, right? A big candle and a doji after. Big candle, like that seems to be the MO. And the issue really is that doji is kind of sporadic. This one gaps up very, very nicely, right? As I look at these ones, this one holds up here for sure. This one actually was not a doji. That was a beautiful candle to the next resistance, right? This doji gaps down at 50%, right? Even this one, big pop, and like it's been a little sporadic, okay? I think the one big thing is that the news is just getting louder. We have now seen there are multiple countries being crossed. Like you cross a border, they're not going to smile and say, hey, are you thirsty? Do you want some water? You got to expect some sort of retaliations and this and that, right? Like again, I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm not here to give you my opinions of this and that. Believe me, it's the saddest thing just on the human level, because come on now, right? Like, but whatever, that's not what this is about. The news continuing, Indo and HUSA will continue, right? I know people are talking about pushes to EV and getting out of fossil fuel. Oil makes the earth go around. There is someone in a bicycle in the middle of the core, and the bike is hooked up to fossil fuel, and that's how, like, you get what I'm saying. I'm obviously joking, right? But like, oil makes the earth move. Otherwise, we're walking, and obviously we're all too lazy to walk, right? So believe me, if there is any issues in the place that produces most of the oil for most of the world, these are going to pop, okay? So what I would be looking for is basically three things, okay? Three things. Normally I start up here, but we're going to start down here. Volume cannot dump. All right, volume cannot dump. Let's just like look at all of these, right? This one's even a little far out. That one's all the way in 2022. So let's just stay here. All right. And in the last runs for Indo, right? All of these were this year. We get the monster volume and then an eventual dump, right? This one was actually a faster dump. That one I would also say is a big volume and a dump as well, right? So the last thing I want to see is volume drop to like even worse than that, right? I can see it dropping to like 18, let's call it 20 million. 20 million is roughly what 80% loss of volume, right? Every 12 million is 10%. 24 would be that 20%. We're at 20. We're pretty close to it, right? So we would have basically lost almost 80% of the volume, and we cannot have that, all right? At the bare bone minimum, and that's actually a really low, I'll take it to this one. That's the bare bone min. That's a little lower than 50%. Let's call it 60. Okay. The lowest volume I'm willing to accept is 60. Oh, I hate this calculator thing. That's how I got to do it. 60 million shares. All right. And if I'm looking for 60 million shares on a 7-hour day, we need 8.5. Let's just round up. Let's call it 9 million shares in the first hour, hopefully a little closer to 20 million shares in the second hour, all right? What I would love is at least 100 million. If we can get at least 100 million shares in divided by a 7-hour day, I'm looking for a little closer to 15 million shares in that first hour, hopefully 30 million by that second hour, right? So 20 to 30 million shares is that sweet spot for what we need. Even 20 is a little known. 30, right? We want that 30 number for sure. Give me 30 million shares in that second hour. I'll start to believe Indo can continue. If 408 breaks, it's going to be a quick ride up to basically 490. I don't think 490 is going to stop it. Maybe the RSI will get a little high once again. I'm not here pretending I know the math, right? But if we go up and we push to 490, obviously that 72 is going to keep going up, right? I don't know how high into the 80s that's going to take it, so just kind of keep an eye on that. But I do believe green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 nothing, 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 nothing could be a real fast green, green, green all the way to 580, all right? As I look into HUSA, it's the exact same comments, all right? Starting at the bottom, the lowest I'm willing to accept is 7 million shares. Even 7 million shares is about it's literally a 50% drop from the 14 we saw today, right? I don't even have to get the calculator out. 7 million shares in a 7-hour day. We need 1 million share per hour baseline minimum. If we can get over 2 million shares per hour, get close to that 4 or 5 million shares in that second hour, oh man, the money line is 140. You can see the average, the 200 moving average, the purple line is sitting at 139. What's this at? 141. I'll set an alert because I'll be honest, this one's an interesting one. 142 is going to be my alert here. I didn't talk about the way down on Indo. Let me talk about the way down. If this was going to drop, I think the first place will drop is 333. Normally, I would come back to that $3 line, but it seems like we broke that $3 resistance that I was looking for. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I might be getting too excited about a single candle. That's literally breaking one of my golden rules, right? But I don't think we're going to come back all the way down to 3. I think we should hold 330, right? Basically lose 10% and hold that other 10%. If we lose 330, it will be a fast drop to 3. I can't imagine we lose 3 because there are too many moving averages right there, all right? So that's my and then on the way up, yeah, break 408. I'm going to set an alert for 411 right here. I don't think I set an alert. Look, an alert is not an immediate buy notification. It's definitely a come check out the charts, right? Come on, baby. Are you freezing on me? Ooh, nothing's working right now. Give it a second. Give it a second. Let's just close that. Oh my gosh. I'm going to pause this. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. And then again, right where I left off, right? I'm going to set an alert for 411. Again, an alert is not an immediate buy notification. It's definitely a come check it out, right? But I've set the alerts on the way up for HUSA and Indo. I talked about the way down for Indo. For HUSA, look, we let me zoom back a little bit because I was talking a little bit more about Indo. HUSA has had some, like the 50 moving average is what's catching my eye, okay? We've definitely had some nice movements up, but look at that. There really hasn't been a beautiful candle in confirmation, right? That's a good candle. That's not confirmation. That's not because look, let's just say that's a good back to back. What this did was showed me it tried to bounce on the 50 but re-broke the 100. That maybe does the 100, but I need another confirmation now, right? Like this was not good enough as it was. Hopefully that made sense right there. We come back down. That's a big candle. That is not a good candle after it. And then green, green, green became red, red, red under, right? Same thing here. Good candle, no confirmation. Whatever candle doji. Good candle, no confirmation. Green, 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 red, red, red. I don't want green, 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 red, 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 all the way down to 116. I sincerely believe this can fall as low as 116. I don't think this 123 on its own will stand, but those are my levels down. 123 and then 116, okay? Otherwise, like I said, we break this 140. I'm going to delete the line, but just if we can get over right there, right? Red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, red, nothing, nothing, green, green, green. It could be a fast move to basically two. All right. So get me over the purple line, get me over the 200 moving average. I'm going to believe on Indo. Get me over resistance. I'm going to believe. Remember the pump and dump aspects of both of these. And believe me, as messed up as this next sentence is, because I obviously understand what it means in the real world of things, we this is headline driven. If the headlines calm down, these will go down. If things escalate and there's more back and forth and this and that and numbers, and believe me, it's all the ugly side of life and trading, right? That's what makes this go up. This is the ugly side of trading. I'm not here to judge. I'm just, I'm doing, stock things, right? Let me know your opinions. Try to keep this as non-political as possible. I know the community's so good at doing that. Let's take a look at this next one, PRZO. So I'm not that familiar with this one, all right? I don't know if we've talked PRZO. Look at that. We've talked about it. Last time we actually talked about it was in July. So interesting. So this is an aerospace and defense stock, all right? And look, someone was actually comparing it to LASE. I and someone else, we actually did not like LASC again just yet. That's not what this video is, but just FYI on that answer. PRZO, okay? This is an interesting daily chart, all right? And as I zoom out, this is a brand new stock. This thing, has it been a year? Yeah, it looks like it's been alive for a year. Congratulations, right? But this thing, when I click into July 2023, it did not exist. The first day of trading was July 27th, right? So towards the end of July, we're now at the beginning of October of the next year, right? So not a lot of information. A very, very, very fresh 200 moving average, right? This was the 200 first day. We're over it. We're over it, and I would actually say very, very nicely, right? And as I look at the volume, today was obviously a good one, but it wasn't even the best one in the last couple days, right? So interesting things going on right here, all right? I clearly see this thing has pretty much been living under the moving averages, all right? I also see this thing has pretty much been living under the 100 moving average at the bare minimum, right? So to gap over, not, well, I guess not gap over, right? But to break it and significantly fill the channel and then some is a really, really interesting thing to say the least, all right? That's a good MACD. That's a little bit high on the RSI side, right? But look, we actually, oh no, that wasn't in the 80s. I thought it was. That right there was a single little pop, but it hit the 90s, and it looks like it did it again here. Be a little weary of the 80, but again, if you can break all five, you fly. And when you've got, because I'm going to draw this line right here, right? This is probably one of the stronger horizontals. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. If you can get, and I believe I said this, yeah, at 0.73, right? My line's at 0.74. That's a good line right there. Point 0.3, whatever, who cares? Um, get me over this, and all I see is red, green, red, green, red, nothing, 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 green, red, nothing, 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 nothing. Oh my. And truth be told, the next line I would draw is basically that horizontal. And look, it's kind of the peak of this thing right here, right? I'd probably adjust it to that. I think that's probably the better line. We're talking about $1.10 potentially on a 75-cent stock, right? And just look, red, 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 gap, red, 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 gap, red, 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 nothing, 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 green, green, green. Like, that's a beautiful channel right there, right? So if this confirms, oh, that's lovely, right? When I look at the weekly, we have a brand new 50 moving average. Look, it's still early in the week, right? But this thing's kind of saying, hey, there's a shot that we're going to try to break the 50 moving average come Friday, right? 50% candle of both of those is basically 87 cents, right? There's a real shot that this thing can actually maybe make a move to 87 cents, if not this week, next week, right? Because again, this is a weekly chart, right? But this is looking interesting. We're now at a place where it's been trading for more than 50 weeks. We're starting to get a 50-day line on the weekly. Not quite there, but hey, it's still early. If we can do this for the next 3 days, I think we actually might break that line, right? So riding the eight, I mean, there's some really interesting things happening here. This is aerospace and defense, and again, there are war times happening, so aerospace and defense is an interesting thing, right? So look, these are the lines up, and I think these are really good lines right here. I think keep 89 cents. Oh, look at that. That's exactly what we said on the weekly. Keep 89 cents in your back pocket, but I don't think that's worth drawing. If this was to fail, I don't know if this 200 moving average will hold. I actually think it might come as low as 66 cents. I don't think we'll come all the way down to the 100 because it does actually look like we're going to golden cross the 8 and the 100. Again, I'm not here pretending I'm smart enough to know the math, but a big candle like that tends to make the slope go nicely. And I can see it golden crossing to maybe around that range right there. All right. So, hey, if you know more about this stock, let me know. I'll be real honest with you. I really don't. But like I said, it was mentioned earlier today. It was discussed with a couple other people. It did catch my eye just before the close, and that's actually why I put it into the video today. So I'm not going to talk about HUBC. I think this was a good. Let's just talk about HUBC real quick. Hey, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, HUBC. Let's just look at this really quickly. Look, I am not a pattern trader, all right? I don't talk about wedges, this and that. I don't talk about candle patterns either, right? Like there's something called like three soldiers or there's shooting star this and like different doji names, but to me the doji itself is the only pattern I sincerely care about, all right? When you break a moving average and see a doji the next day where some people thought we should have flown all the way to the 100, some people thought we didn't deserve it and we should have actually lost most of the, if not entirety of yesterday's candle, and then they just end up coming here. That's a crazy uncertainty and they're waiting for the answer tomorrow, all right? As I zoom back, just look at this thing, right? We've struggled with the 50 moving average. There was a reverse split. That's why I have these two random lines right there. I was probably tracking that slope right there and trend lines, this and that, right? Instead of just my horizontal ones. But this isn't the prettiest of stocks. It really isn't. But get me over the 100 moving average. Oh man, it might be really hard to stop it from coming to about $1, right? Kind of seems like the 200 moving average. I think 105 is probably a realistic target. I'm actually going to delete this line because I think at this point we're talking about the 200 moving average right there, all right? But I'll draw this line, that one right there. Oh, that's a little too high. I'll draw that line right there. That might be a little too high. How do you look? You. That's my line. 75 cents. If we can break 75 cents, I think this will gain more than 33% and run all the way to 105 as mentioned, right? Because again, we only have 3 quarters. I'm going to give you one more quarter and then an extra nickel on top of that, right? So that sounds like pennies for sure, but oh man, those are beautiful percentages. And that's what we're here for, right? MACD is actually looking good. RSI is, hey, we got green over red, 72 is low, and I got to zoom in so you can see it, but volume has been increasing very healthy over the last 4 days, and actually over the last 5 days, 3 of the 5 have been over the 50-day. Even just being at them is a decent good enough for me, right? Obviously, you know I want more, but again, break me that 75. If your risk tolerance is a little looser, you can probably call it 71, 72. Otherwise, we're probably coming down to 58. I can see 58, maybe 57 being the lowest it comes. I don't think we're going to come down to like the 55 range. There is a green, green, green that could be a red, red, red for sure, right? But it seems like we're gaining some moving averages. Again, I said it on the oil ones. I'm going to say it on this one. It's a super messed up sentence, but if news calms down, so will these stocks. If the news continues, escalates, etc., you can hear my voice cracking. It's messed up, right? The stocks will keep going. All right. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.